Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, and this is Connor.
Hey guys.
We're going to talk about Black Mirror, Season 1, Episode 2. It's called 15 Million Merits. Full spoilers for the episode. This is the second in our sort of retrospective reviews of all the Black Mirror episodes, which we're doing in time for Season 3 hitting next month. So, yeah, so this is Episode 2, and this one is set in some kind of future where when people turn 21, they go to, like, I don't want to call it a prison, because they're not in prison, but it's kind of like a prison.
Facility.
Yeah. And they cycle on exercise bikes, which contribute all the energy for the electricity that just runs the world, I guess. Um, I, I have to put out one thing here before I give any more of a description. I feel like in a world where they're having to have people manually cycle to provide the energy for electricity, I feel like this world has far too many TVs and lights on all the time. You would think you'd try and conserve just a little bit. I'm saying.
I don't see. I'm not entirely sure they need them to do it. I think it's more that's the system.
Okay, right.
I didn't get. I never got the impression that they were necessary for it. I feel like they could have provided the energy easier, but because the whole point of this episode is observing the ideas of fame and quick and easy routes to fame versus hard work. And I feel like this in this world, this is just a system they've implemented as a way just to make them work, even though they don't have to. It's kind of an elite power play almost.
So you think it's optional?
Yes, because I think it's something that the elites established as a way, like, here, if you can do this, you can be like us, sort of thing. But you don't have to do it because we see the cleaner people, they're not doing it, they're just living.
Yeah, but we see that the one guy who can't cycle anymore is forced to do that. That's like a demotion.
No, it is, but it's I don't. Again, I don't think it's a necessary thing for them to sustain the energy, though. I think it's just something that.
But you think them doing this is an optional choice that they've made to go here? I don't.
No, I don't think it's an optional choice they've made to go there. So sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I just think that it's optional, like how much effort they put in.
Oh yeah, the efforts, because they could just cycle half as much and just make half as much credits. And I'm getting that metaphor, but I don't know. I never got the sense that, like, I just took this as a world where whatever resources we use for energy are gone, and this is what we use now.
Fair
I
enough.
suppose
See, I never quite got that.
I got that just immediately. That's why they're doing this. I don't think it matters ultimately because, as you say, there's a lot of metaphors going on here, and that's kind of what that episode's actually about. I just
See, I thought the whole thing was one extra metaphor.
no, I just took that. This is the future we're in. This is why it is this way, so we can exaggerate everything for our metaphors.
Fair enough.
This is the plot reason for all this shit going on. Otherwise, I don't get why it's mandatory, but whatever. So yeah, so people cycle on their bikes. That's their job, for 10 hours a day, whatever it is, and they also live very simple lives in that they have essentially a cube for a room, and the wall's a TV, and they get mandatory commercials that play that. Interestingly, a lot of the rumours about the Xbox One and the Kinect sensor had a lot of very similar features to what goes on in this episode, where if they close their eyes, it can tell they're not watching the advert, so it'll pause the advert and tell you
Uh,
resume viewing, whatever, before it'll let you finish. They can also pay credits in this to skip the advert if they wish. They're
aye.
merits. They can pay to skip them. Um, and that's the sort of the world that they're in. And the other big part of it as well is that they seem to have like a limited number of things they can watch on their TV or play. And there's like a reality TV show which is a big focus of the episode called, is it Hot Shots? I think
Hot
it's
shot,
called.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a porn channel. There's like a goofy comedy thing where people throwing cakes at each other, and some video games one was shooting with really atrocious graphics. Actually, if we're in the future,
Do you know what the whole thing, all the graphics remind me of? You know, all like the avatars of the people. They look
Xbox,
straight.
yeah,
No. They look exactly the same as the Wii ones.
really. I think
Yeah,
it's, the menu looked more like the Xbox though. The way they swiped
the
the
menu
squares.
did, but the actual avatars themselves, they were the Wii ones basically.
Nah, see, it still reminded more of Xbox because even the buying like clothes and hair for it, Xbox.
You could do that on Wii as well, I think.
Could you?
But the actual design of them, more than the actual like what you can do with them, the actual design of them, the goofiness, though it reminded me much more of the Wii ones and the Xbox ones. They were much more because they were quite blocky, like the Wii ones. The Xbox ones are a bit more rounded.
Uh, from memory, I think they look more like the Xbox ones, but
No,
again, it doesn't really matter.
it doesn't.
Um,
No.
you just want to argue to be annoying.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
so yeah, so we set up and we've got. Oh, I've already forgotten the main character's name. What is his
Bing.
weird name? Bing. There you go. Xbox. Go to Bing. Um, but no, so he's the character we follow. We see him waking up. We see him go through his routine and how they get their food out of this weird digital vending machine and all that. And we see that there's an Asian girl who seems to be kind of interested in him. And then when this like chubbier guy sort of like gets demoted, his bike's taken over by this new person who's this new female named Abby, and it becomes kind of a sort of like sweet love story. There's a lot of silence in terms of the dialogue. There's not a whole lot of dialogue for a lot of this episode
I noticed it. I don't think that any of the characters say a word for like 7 or 8 minutes
until
at
the
the
bathroom
start.
scene.
Yeah, there's a little bit like of
Actually, no,
background
no,
noise
no,
on the TVs. I
no, no,
think the
no.
first bit is
It's
where
the
she comes up with the vending
no,
machine.
no, it's not.
No?
No, it's the guy next to him on the bike.
Oh yeah,
The dickhead. He heard him
yeah,
speak. But yeah, out of the main character, there's no talking until the vending machine. But then even then, that's her initiating it. He doesn't actually initiate a conversation until the bathroom scene with Abby.
yeah. It's
When
quite a
he
while then.
when he hears her singing, and then he starts kind of trying to flirt, and that's when that really funny moment happens when like the screen in the wall says, "Hey, regular user," and it's like the porn thing playing. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
it's,
resume playing here.
it's not a overly funny episode, but that one moment's particularly humorous.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's good stuff. So you're set up in this world, and there's a lot of like good music playing throughout because the music, like I say, there's not a lot of dialogue, so there's a lot of music playing as it's going through, and it sets up the idea that she's a good singer. He thinks she should go into this talent show, the Hot Shots, but it costs 15 million merits, which is the name of the episode. But he happens to have just over that. He
'Cause
actually
he thought it was 12.
he thought it was 12, but he still went through it with anyway because he likes her, and
Yeah,
he wants to gift her the ticket, the golden ticket that you need to go on audition on this X Factor American Idol style show.
it's very Britain's Got Talent.
Well, in the sense that it can be anything, but it doesn't really matter. Any of these
Yeah,
talent shows. So they go do that, and we see them go up, and there's a little sweet moment in the elevator where they hold hands, and all of this stuff leading up to this point, it's all the point is to show just sort of how sterile the whole world is, but their feelings for each other is real,
yeah.
and there's real emotion there, and it's kind of sweet, and you get that sense of it like every time he looks over at her, um, and it is all builds, and there's a feeling of dread. You feel like this isn't going to go as well as planned.
It's like at this point you're maybe what a third through the episode, and you're like, something's got to go wrong soon.
hmm Well, first of all, when someone hands you a drink and says, "Here, take this compliance," never drink a beverage called compliance.
Also, if you're stuck in a room with a very annoying scouser like that, just get out.
She was very annoying.
It's that accent just goes straight through you.
God, I know. So she goes out to the singing competition. She sings in front of these judges, and then everyone's avatars are all behind them in the crowd because everyone's in their cube, their identical cubes, watching, and all their avatars are the crowd, like that are there that are live, and the three judges are looking across them. Now, really over the top. The guy with his sunglasses is very stereotypical judge on one of these talent shows, and she sings. They seem kind of impressed, but the third judge happens to be from the porn channel, and he's like, you know what? Nah. I think you would be better with your clothes off. And but the first thing he says to her is, "Let's see those titties." That's his
Yeah, it's
first
like the
line,
first thing is time to
even
take the
before she
top off.
sings. Yeah, that's what he gets at. And then the other judge kind of gets like, you know what? I kind of agree with him. I think you're not exceptional enough to be a singer, but I was sitting here thinking of you in erotic situations, and I don't mind telling you that I was slightly aroused. And it just goes,
It's really funny because obviously that guy in particular is a proxy for Simon Cowell, like in particular him, and I can just imagine him doing that, saying
yeah.
these things, and it's way funnier.
But I mean, it's funny, but it's really uncomfortable because like her reaction to it and being like nervous as shit and like crying, and then Bing's reaction off to the side, and he even like tries to go out on the stage at one point, and the security cuts him off, and they basically force her into agreeing to becoming a porn star.
Yeah, it's like a peer pressure thing. It's like, well, you can take your shot now that you're here, or you can go back to the bikes, and that's it.
Yeah. And the porn guy even mentions that, oh, we give you drugs so that you don't even feel like shame or anything like that. Like, you'll feel nothing. You'll be a zombie in porn, but you'll not have to wear the shitty clothes. You won't have to be on the bike. You'll have a relatively happier life. But she's kind of forced into it. And, like, her agreements, even I suppose, as she's crying, is really quite depressing. But, of course, the whole point of this is that this is just taking her and her talent and manufactured and ruined it into something else, which is a point that's hit even harder because the rest of the episode, of course, is Bing goes back. He has no merits left, and he gets really angry because there's this really sick bit where he's in his room and the porn advert comes on, and it shows Abby in her porn scene, and he doesn't want to look, but the advert will stop playing if he shuts his eyes. He has no money to skip it, so he is forced to watch it.
Yeah,
And
it's grim.
yeah, and he snaps and he smashes the screen, and he gets a bit of glass, and you can see the plan formulating.
Yeah,
And he begins training. Yeah, I mean, he begins working hard on the bike earlier than everyone else every day, later than everyone else.
just getting up to the 15 million again.
Yeah, skimping. It's almost like a training montage of him like skimping on food and like
It's when he steals the apple.
Yeah, which was set up very well earlier on in the episode because he was taught how to like get it when it doesn't come out properly. So someone else orders the apple and it doesn't come out, and he goes up and steals it. Really smart stuff because you know exactly what he's about to do. Everything in the episode sets up stuff later in the episode, and it's really smart that way. So he gets his 15 million. He goes back in, and he's been practicing a dance routine because.
Gotta do something, hasn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't have a talent. He doesn't have anything prepared, so he has to like make a dance routine up. So he starts doing that, and then he holds the glass to his neck, just so that he can make a statement, which he's not planned. And it's a very good bit of acting. He really like.
He really goes for it, doesn't he?
He really like puts all of his emotion into it, and he sums it all up at the end. But basically what I'm saying is fuck you, and he starts screaming fuck you at them, and talks about everything that's going on. And obviously we'll get to the metaphors in a minute, but the thing is they even pervert this. They take this and turn it into something again that is a manufactured piece of entertainment, because they let him have this. Oh, you can have like a sort of one person chat show thing, on my streaming service twice a week, and
It was the mid speech where I kind of realised it was going one of two ways. There was way one was he kills himself anyway at the end of the speech to make a point.
yeah,
Way two, the same thing happens to him as happened to Abby.
yeah.
It's like that's the only options at that point.
And it's made very well because you can see it being corrupted, and a lot of the metaphor here that I took from this, it was almost like thinking specifically about like movies and TV and like art sort of stuff, right? The way that like you'll have a really interesting idea, like a low budget movie or something that has a lot of passion put into it, right? Is I'm trying to think of an example. take, I don't know, Paranormal Activity, right? You might like that, you might not, but it was a low budget movie that a couple of people made for next to nothing, and they thought, well, we've got this idea and we'll do this to it, and then a movie studio gets a hold of it, and it turns into a series of 6 movies.
I think games are a much
That are just
easier
churned
example
out.
to think of.
Yeah, okay, yeah, where everything
something like maybe
becomes
Mighty Number Nine, where it started as this thing like a passion project. It was a Kickstarter, and then it kind of gets hold of by a studio, and it morphs into something else, and it kind of loses
maybe.
what its point was. Which is the same thing I got with this, where he's still talking about the same message, but it loses its entire point because he's part of the system.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't thinking exactly like something like where it itself changed, but just more where people get gobbled up by the system, and then what they do becomes this weird status quo that feels like the same bland thing that just adds to the noise, you know.
Mm,
Um, Gaming's a good one because a lot of genres just kind of transformed into the same like 3 genres that are successful, you know.
yeah,
Where things that were never shooters started becoming just try to be shooters. Obviously, I'm thinking of Resident Evil here. That it was a horror game about finding puzzle items and like
and
surviving,
yeah,
and then it became something that was chasing the big shooter crowd.
and now you've got the survival thing.
Yeah, yeah. So that idea that you have all these unique voices, but then it becomes a mass, and then it becomes just this like boiled down committee shite,
Aye.
essentially. But obviously, there's a lot more to it in that as well. Like just the whole idea of like being part of a system, and then his whole thing about, oh, what am I going to do? Buy a digital light. It's funny actually. Even though I don't think this was the exact point of what he was saying, it did like make me think of my own cynical attitude towards microtransactions and video games and cosmetic items. I'm like, yeah, they're all pointless. I agree with them right now.
Well, Charlie Brooker's involved in games media, right?
Hmm.
So, wouldn't be surprising if he was thinking of this concept
Well,
ideas, if that was part of the idea.
I don't know. This was 2011. I don't know if that was maybe just a little bit too early for.
Yeah, but again, he might have been a bit ahead of the curve. You never know.
Maybe, maybe. I
Because
don't think that. I
the
don't think
stuff was
that.
starting up back then, all right?
Maybe, but I don't think that was the direct point of that though. I think that the point was more of a metaphor for just because he talks about what am I going to do? Buy all this stuff? It's just confetti. It's nothing real.
Yeah, yeah.
You took the one real thing from me and you turned it into something
It's
else.
just a message against consumerism in general.
Yeah. And the one real thing he ever had was feelings for this girl,
Yeah.
and it was taken away and it was abused and it was, and she was taken in an instant, of like pressure and, but, no, so it's good.
Yeah, it's again, it's very deep meaning, this show. I feel like you could analyze the metaphors all day because the entire episode is just metaphors upon metaphors.
No, it is. That's what I actually almost think. I think this is the weakest of the 3 out of the first season.
Okay.
And I think part of my reason for that is that this episode, more than any of them, is nothing but metaphors. Like, I almost don't buy there's a world around this, if that makes
Right,
sense.
yeah, I get you.
Like, at the end when he looks out the window and he sees the trees, and I'm like, alright, so they come here when they're 21, but what are all the older people? Like, is there an age you reach where you get to leave and just be retired? And, like, I started thinking about it, and I'm like,
That was actually the ending. Actually, really made me question: is that trees or was it just another screen?
yeah, no, you may be right, but again, the point I'm making is that I don't really feel there's a world around this. It feels so, like,
Just enclosed in and of itself.
enclosed, and I like movies where you have an enclosed setting and you imagine the world outside. Whereas with this one, I don't really feel like I imagined the world outside. I feel like no, everything here is just for a metaphor, so it doesn't feel like a real thing.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like with things that are all in one location, it still connects to the outside world through conversation usually.
I think
Where
between the setup and the scenario, and the fact that so much of it was heightened for metaphor reasons. The commercials, the paying to do everything, the literally paying for toothpaste by the drip, as
by
if
the squeeze, yeah.
as if you're getting like petrol for a car. Like,
To be fair though, Probably works out the exact same as buying a tube. Just
It,
buying the tube
it
all at
probably
once.
it probably does, but the whole point is that I'm making is that everything's so heightened that it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a real situation. And because of that, as much as I think it's a really good episode, and I do really like the connection of him and Abby, and I like the point it's making, I don't think it works as well as like I think the first episode. To go back to the first episode, right? I don't want to spoil the next one. So to go back to the first one, I think yeah, there's like social commentary there, but I think as a story on its own, it works entirely.
I get you. This works as a statement, but not necessarily as a piece of media.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's a good statement and it's very clear what message it wants to portray. But is it entertaining?
Well, it is, but
Yeah,
it's flawed in that sense because
but it's only entertaining because of the metaphors, right? There's nothing beyond that.
yes,
Yeah, I get your problem there.
yeah. Whereas the first one, not that I spoiled anything when I said that, but whereas the first one, the whole plot of oh someone's been kidnapped, we have to try and figure it out and find them, or this bad thing's going to happen. There's a ticking time bomb kind of feeling to the whole thing.
Yeah,
There's a real world around it, and it feels like even if you didn't get the commentary, you would still be excited by the plot.
yes,
Whereas here, it's just all in the metaphors. So,
yeah.
um, but no, it's still good. Like, still, if this is the weakest of the season, I don't know if it's the weakest of the show because I've not seen season 2 yet, and we'll get there and stuff. But of season
But
one,
that's the thing. If this is the weakest of season one, I'm feeling confident because it's still pretty solid.
oh yeah, no, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. It does a good build up of tone. I really felt the loneliness throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I do think it was just brave in the direction and the script of just going with so much silence for a piece of broadcast TV. You know, like network TV. This is just standard. It's not cable or anything like that. It's a bit out there for what you normally get.
Well, season 3 is going to be from a cable network, kind of.
Yeah,
So things might even get weirder, which is great from my perspective, to be honest. But
I agree.
um, it's touching in places, and it's got some great messaging. But I do think it suffers a little bit in the sense of it not feeling like a full realized world, and rather just that's going to sound more insulting than I mean it to be, but it almost feels like if you had like a sketch show, this is a sketch. Not a funny sketch, but like a sketch just to make, like, instead of a joke, a point.
Yeah, I get you.
Uh,
Yeah, no, I get it. Like
yeah,
that's all that exists. There is
yeah,
nothing beyond the sketch. It's
yeah,
just that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Cool. There you go. That was Black Mirror episode 2. Um, Let us know what you think in the comments below and all that jazz. Uh, you know, theories stuff. Do you think we missed like a meaning of something somewhere? Maybe we glossed over something. Let us know. Like and subscribe, all that jazz. We'll have episode 3 up soon. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.